Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you're deciding to check in on this. We are going to go ahead and get started on our very first project. I'm going to go ahead and go to Against the Clock. Now, when you go into your files, you're going to go to My Account, or once you log in, you're going to go to My Account and Files. It's going to pull up the page that you see that we're already on, but now it's going to reload. You're going to see these down here. So this is your book. These are your files. So you're going to go ahead and click on this to download your files. Now, I had already downloaded them, so I'm going to move them over here. So as you can see, these are your files. Once you download them, you're going to right click on that, extract all. It's going to pop up a little box like this. You're going to put it wherever you want to. I always like to put it on my desktop because during the class, if I'm accessing it every single week, I would like to be able to know where I have to find it pretty quickly. So now you're going to click on the folder that you just extracted from, and you're going to click on one of two folders. So if you are a Mac user, you're going to get all your files from the Mac folder here. If you're using a regular Windows computer, you're going to click on the other file. For now, we need to go see what we have to open up. Now, I'd already gone ahead and opened up the book as well. It's going to open up to your first main page. Mine's just being weird. So it's going to look like this. You can go right there real quick, and this will jump you to whatever project you're working on. So we're going to be in project 1 this week. We're going to be talking about Art Camp icons. So this is where you're going to open up to. There's a couple of videos you can watch if you want to that are in your book. What we're going to be focusing on here is placing raster images into an Illustrator file, creating and managing basic shapes and lines, using various tools to transform the object's colors and positions, and then cloning objects to minimize repetitive tasks, or drawing complex shapes by combining simple shapes, using groups and layers to organize artwork. So, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to expand the A124. So I'm going to go back over here to my files. We know we're going to go into the A124 files, and we're going to click on here's what I'll tell you to do too. In here, if you go back, in here, if you want to have a work in progress folder, I always just create one while I'm working on things. So I'm going to have a WIP, but we're going to open up this folder here. So I'm going to click on the icons. I'm going to drag it over here to the student files, if it'll let me. Basically, you're going to take your folder. If it does what mine's doing, I don't know why my computer's doing this. Normally I can just drag it up and drag it over. But today we're just going to be difficult because why not? We're going to go to desktop, find wherever I put those folders. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go right here, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to label this, whoops, you can't see that. I'm going to go in here and create a new folder, and I'm going to label it Project 1, because I know that's the project that this will be in. I'm going to go here to the icons. I'm going to drag it over to this one and drop it. So now in my Project 1, my icon image will be there. In Illustrator, we're going to go ahead and open up Illustrator. We're going to choose File and New. And let me grab my book because I'm going to move this over so I can kind of follow along quicker. We're going to name this Art-Icons. Change this to inches. Width is going to be 12. Height is going to be 12. One artboard, which we already have. Now we need to go and look at the bleeds. This is just saying that around the edges, we're going to need a bleed section. Now for this case, this particular artboard, we do not. So we need to make sure that these are 0. Everything else is fine. We're going to hit create. We're going to go ahead and save it. Save as. And then you can just save wherever you want to save, wherever you're keeping yours. For me, because I did this on my desktop, I'm going to put it in my WIP, in my folder 1, and save. We're going to say, okay. So to make sure that everything is working right, we're going to click on the Preferences button or the Properties panel. So here we're going to click on Preferences, Smart Guides. Make sure that you click on Smart Guides here. Make sure you're on that one. We're going to make sure everything is checked over here minus the construction guides. We're going to say okay. If you want to know a little bit more about what each 6 of these are, if you go to your book on page 35, it goes into a little bit more depth about describing those. We're going to go to View. Smart Guides, make sure it's checked. If you uncheck it, they'll disappear, but you want to make sure that they are checked. We're going to go to Window, Toolbars, and we're going to click on Advanced. This shows the entire Illustrator tool set is the goal here. We're going to go back to Window. We're going to make sure that our contextual taskbar is not checked. The contextual taskbar can be a little bit confusing, so we're just going to turn it off for now, and we'll turn it back on at a later date. All right, so we're going to go over here, and we are going to click on the rectangle tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to there's a couple of things we can do. Let me click off of it. I want to show you something. So you can either hold your mouse over it, which in the case, if you're new to it, it might do something like this. Or you can right click it. And we are going to click on the rounded rectangle list. This is called nested tools here. So when you see the little triangle at the bottom of them, basically it's saying that when you right click it, they'll show you a lot more. So we're just going to click on the rounded rectangle tool for now. You can change your colors here. I typically like to go to my properties and go over here. For the default fill, it is already set to white and your stroke is already set to black. Now you can see here, it tells you exactly what it is, right? But if you go over here, it just kind of shows you what it is. So what this is saying that whatever is on the top here is your prominent one. So your fill is showing you your color. Now you could switch it to where you could switch the colors, or if you double click on this, you can pop the stroke button to be the primary thing in front. We're just going to reset it by double clicking on the white part and close that out. We're going to click the top left corner of the artboard here. Just click it once and you're going to see that a box pops up. This allows you to build your rectangle to the size that it needs to be exactly. Now this button here is called the constrain button. And basically when you have it looking like this right here, it means that these two are linked. You don't want them to link right now. So when you see the line through it, it's basically saying that they are not connected. Your width and your height is not connected. We're going to type the number 5 into the width and number 5 in the height. And our corner radius, we're going to put in as 0.5. We're going to say, okay. And now you have your shape. You can even see how it's already curved on the edges. Now the thin line that you see here is what we call the bounding box. And it's just kind of showing you the outer shape as far as it'll go if you were to make it very narrowed or pointed. If you don't want to see it, you can go up here to View and Hide Bounding Box. But I kind of like being able to see it myself, so I'm going to leave it here. We're going to go up to the window and we're going to click on Transform. Now see here, I can't see it in mine because the way my monitor is, there's an arrow button here that you can scroll down with. We're going to hit the Transform button. With this, you can change the height, the width. You can change where exactly you're going to put it in here. Same thing with the corners. You can make one corner thinner or, more curved than the other. So that is what your transform box does. Typically, I tend to... Now to switch this back from the rounded, you just right click it and click on rectangle. Now, when I go up here, I can just click this. So when you go here and you see like the little arrow that goes from the corner to the little curve and you click on it and hold that down, you can reshape the box. And you see that line going through it. That's basically telling me that it's both the width and the height of the 5-inch. This is one of your Smart Guide features, that pink line. So you can release the button and we can now start working on our next shape. So in this case, if we go here, you see the little Smart Guide line there, the pink line. I can go here, match it up, and you'll see the line across the bottom and the line right there. And if you look at my little box with the Smart Guides and all that, it is telling me that this is exactly the same shape and size as my other one. Or not shape, but the same size. So 5 inches and 5 inches. I can let it go. The other thing I can do is this little widget here. They're live corner widgets. I can grab this and start curving it in until I get to the 0.5. This is another way you can do the rounded rectangle. Now when I get to the 0.5, I can let it go, and now they both match. And what I can also do is if I go over here and I look and I see that maybe I was off by 0.4, I'll do it real quick. So let's say that I was off by like 0.44. I can go in here and I can change it to 0.5, hit enter, and it's going to fix all of them. Now, of course, when you're doing this, you need to make sure that this is connected or they're not going to all change at the same time right here for these 4 corners. Now, looking at the transform box and the panel, the transform panel, there's a 9 square thing here. This is called, there's a series of dots in here, and this one's called the reference point. Your X is your horizontal value and your Y is going to be your vertical value. Now we can change that 0 point by clicking anywhere in the horizontal rules and kind of dragging them around. Or you can we can double click in the intersection of the rulers to restore that 0 point as well. So we're going to click the top left reference point right here. Click our selection tool. We're going to click on this box again. And here, because I have this selected, I'm going to go over here to the X and I'm going to change this to 0.75. Now make sure that this is not linked for this particular point. And notice that my box now has moved over. We're also going to go into the Y field and we're going to do that again. 0.75, hit enter, and notice that it has moved down. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn on my, so y'all can see it, not the grid, the rulers. I'm going to show my rulers so that you can kind of see where this falls at on the grid. So 0.75, 0.75. Now we're going to go ahead and grab this one. I'm going to grab it in the center here so I know I can drag it. And I'm going to drag it until I get these two to have the Smart Guide pop up. So you see the pink line? Now I know they're on the same Y level. Okay, so I'm going to let that one go. And I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to change the X to say, actually I'm going to change this over here. I'm going to change this reference points to the right. And then I'm going to change my X to say 11.25 and I'm going to hit enter. Now it's telling me that from over here, that this box here, I'm taking this corner and I'm moving it to 11.25. Do you see where that lines up? So I'm aligning the top right corner of this box. Now I'm going to hold the shift button while this is still highlighted. I'm going to hold the shift button and I'm going to select this box. Now you have to click on the line so that I have both of them. I'm going to let go of the shift box. Okay, so now with both of them selected, you're going to hit your Alt or your, I think the other Macs, you guys will have, it's not the Alt button, Control or Option, I think it is on yours. On Windows computer, you're going to hit the Alt button and you're going to click on your boxes and you're going to drag them down until your X is still at 0 and your your Y is at 5.5. So you want it to look just like this, 0 and 5.5. Now, of course, if the Y is not exactly at the 5.5, we will fix that later, so don't stress about it. I'm going to let it go, and we are done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on this one here. And if my Y is showing anything other than 11.25, you need to change this to 11.25 once you click this little bottom button here in the corner, and then change your Y to 11.25 for the bottom ones right here while they're still selected together. Now we've done a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and hit Control S and save our file. We're going to go back to this first box. We're going to click View, Hide Corner Widget. When we're not needing them, we can turn them off. So you see the little dots over here. When you don't need it, we know we're done with our little curvatures. We're going to go ahead and turn them off so that way they're not as distracting. We're going to go to Window, choose swatches. And there's a couple of ways you can look at this. So this is the thumbnail view, or you can share the list view. We're just going to look at the thumbnail view. That's the easiest way to look at this. We're going to click on the stroke button, and you'll see that this brings it forward. We're going to roll over here to there's two different kinds. So you want to click on the CMYK Cyan. And notice when you scroll your mouse over it, you'll see the name pop up. So the CMYK Cyan. We're going to click on that. We are going to go over here, click on the fill button. We're going to change it to black. Now, I'm going to show you kind of what this is going to do. So you see that the fill is black and that the stroke is blue. But if I click the swap button, notice now that this is blue and my stroke is black. I'm going to make sure I click back onto this box. I'm going to just move this over here for now. I'm going to go to Window, Stroke, open the stroke box, which a lot of these are already over here. But, you know, if you wanted a separate box for it, by all means, have at it. We're going to change the weight. You can bump it up this way, or you can just type it in. We're going to change it to 5 and close that box out. Now we're going to click on this box over here. We're going to grab this eyedropper tool, and we're going to click on this. And notice that it copies the whole kit and caboodle. Now over here, I'm going to open this box. Well, I can actually go right here. We're going to click on CMYK Magenta, and notice that I could leave the stroke, but all I did was change the object's fill color on this box. But the stroke is still the black, thick stroke. I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to click on this box here. And then in the properties panel, I'm going to change the stroke to 5. And I'm going to click on this in the fill, and I'm going to change this one now to CMYK Yellow. I'm just showing you all the different ways you can change colors if you wanted to. I'm going to click on this last one. I'm going to change it to 5. And then in here, I'm going to change this one to... Oh, and you know what? I didn't tell you. So up here, you have a little box. We're going to go to the Essentials Classic. I was like, there's another way we can change this color. So go up here, change this to Essentials Classic. And it's going to pull up this whole bar up here. So you can change your stroke in here. But we're also going to click right here and change our color to the orange. And you can click on that up here and change it that way too. So now you know 4 different ways to change your colors. We're going to save that file. So click off of anything you have. We're going to go to the window and you're going to click on layers. And it's going to open up this new box and you're going to see layers. So you have this default called layer 1. Click the arrow button and you're going to see all the different layers pop up in it. I'm going to move this up. I like my layers box a little bit higher so I can open it a little bit wider. We're going to click that back closed, but now you see each one has its own, these are each their own layer. So you're going to click it and close it back up. Double click on the name layer 1 and we're going to change the layers to be named backgrounds. Hit enter and that's going to change that name for you. And then this space right here that's next to the little eye, if you click on that, you'll see a lock come up. And that's basically saying that you are locking this so that it protects the objects in that layer. Now with the eye, this is basically saying you can see or not see it. If I unclick it, you'll see that everything is gone. If I click on it back, whoops, wrong thing. If I click it back open, now you see all of them pop back up. For now, we're going to leave it locked, but I'm going to turn that layer off. We're going to add a new layer by hitting this little plus button down here where it says create new layer. We're going to name this layer icon. Hit enter. If you double click on the icon little thumbnail, it'll open up a layers box here. Now this, you can change the name, you can change the colors. It'll show if it's a locked layer, if it's a template, all these different things. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about a lot of these. So for now, all we're going to do is we're going to change the color to green. And we're going to say, okay. Notice that this little box here turns green. So anytime you're looking for it, if you can't find it because you got a bunch, you'll notice that the color, you can see the color a lot quicker. So we're going to go ahead and hit Control S. We're going to go to View, Rulers, and we're going to hide rulers. Now the reason why we're doing that is because there is a little bit of a minor bug in here that causes template images to be placed slightly off-centered when the rulers are visible in the workspace. So to be able to fix that, we just hide them for now. We're going to go to View, fit artboard. And we're going to actually do the fit artboard in Windows so that it's actually nice and clean. That's going to help as well so that it fits the entire piece to what we need, because it'll kind of off-center the template as well. So now we're going to go to File, Place. And of course, make sure you're in your work in progress folders, and you're going to find the icon art document. And this is a JPEG, so you want to make sure that you click on that particular one. We're going to make sure that link and template are selected, because we do need to link it to our document, but we also need to make sure that we know that this is a template, not something that we are embedding. Okay, so we definitely don't want to do that. And we're going to hit place. Now, as you can see, everything is popped up. It automatically centers the document here, which makes it a little bit better. Now, as you can see over here, all of a sudden we have a new layer called template art, and it is locked so that you can't accidentally edit it. It automatically does it for you. We're going to double click on that thumbnail. We're going to dim it to 25%, and we're going to say, okay, it's going to lighten that up a little bit. I'm going to click away from it. Now over here, I'm going to click on the template, and I'm going to drag it down until I see a thick blue line appear below backgrounds, and I'm going to drop it. And now you're going to see it kind of fall underneath the backgrounds layer. Okay, and that's what we want it to do. And now this is something I do all the time. Y'all, I cannot express how often this happens to me. But what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we click on the icons layer, because if you don't, you're still doodling or working within the template layer. We need to be working on the icon layer. So we're going to make sure that we click on that first. We're going to hit Control S to save it. Now we're going to kind of start drawing some basic shapes. So while we have this open and we know that our icons layer is active because that's the one we're clicked into, we are going to go ahead and zoom into this board here. And you can do that by hitting the Alt button and scrolling, you're using your mouse wheel to zoom into it a little bit more so you can see it better. I don't like to zoom in huge, but I do like to zoom in a good bit so that I can have some room to work in around the edges, but I also can see it very clearly. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on the default fill and stroke, and you'll notice as soon as I click it, these all go back to the black and white original default colors. This resets the stroke to be a 1 point as well. So everything goes back to the original standard settings. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change our fill, which is this one here, to none. So that's going to be the one with the line through it, because we don't want it to have anything inside of it, because if we have something inside of like a rectangle that we're drawing here, we're not going to be able to see any of this once it fills. So we're going to leave it empty on the inside. All right, so our rectangle, we're going to kind of start here where the black part of the box is. We're going to put the box there. Now for this part, we're going to change the values just to make sure we have the right shape. I'm going to type in the W to be 4 and the height to be 2.5. Now what we're going to do is there's a couple of ways you can do this. Because I still have the box selected, I'm going to hit Copy, Edit, Paste. You'll see that the new box appears over it. Now on the Y piece, we're going to choose the bottom left. And on the Y, right past all those numbers, we're going to put in minus 2.5. Now, of course, you'll see that if you do it based on what the book says and add that minus 2.5 in there, it kind of goes off the place. We're not going to do that. I don't like it. I'm just going to say we're not doing it. How about that? So I'm going to overlap it here to where you see it line up exactly where it needs to be. And I'm going to double check some things. So I'm clicking here. I know that this is 4 inches wide, 0.25 inches across. I might need to move it over a little bit to get the whole thing. I'm going to kind of do the same thing with this. I'm just going to make sure that I'm not off kiltered with that, and then I'm going to bump it up. I just want to make sure it's perfect. So that looks like it's a big box with one line in it. It's basically what we're aiming for. Okay. Now we can try something here. We're going to click on this box here. We're going to go to the height at the very end. We're going to divide it by 4. We're going to hit enter and see what it does. See, now that one lines up perfectly. So we're going to do it just like that. we're going to, while this is still selected, we're going to hit edit copy. You can also do Control C, Control V, but we're going to just do it based on what the book is telling us because, you know, the book. And now this one, we're going to go into the width and divide it by 8. You'll see that it's a whole different size box. We're going to move it to be right there if it wants to line up. Now with this one, we're going to hit edit copy, edit paste in front, and you're going to see that it's going to duplicate it. We're going to click on the scale tool on the bottom right corner. Now with this tool, we're going to select the bottom tool, the bottom rectangle here. We're going to edit copy, edit paste in front, and now we're going to click on the scale button right here. We're going to click on the right side and we're going to drag it up to fit kind of that box right there. And when we see that the cursor was showing, hold on, I'll show you again. When we see that the cursor is showing 80% width and 70% height, so 80% width and 70-ish% height, we can fix that later. We're going to release the mouse. Okay. Now with this scale tool still active, I'm going to click on the top here. You'll see that the little blue dot shows up. That is the shape's registration point. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the bottom here on the right and I'm going to drag it to where it's 100% width and about 55% height. I do need to fix it a little bit, but it'll be fine. And now you see that it didn't all shrink in together. It didn't move this point at all. That stayed still, which is perfect for what we want to do. Now I'm going to move my cursor over here and I'm going to hit the control button. I'm going to click off of it. We're going to hit Control S. Okay, so now we're going to work on this little piece right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this is selected. So you can click on it. You can hit the control. We're going to press and hold the control key. Make sure that you click on this box because we're going to have to change it in a minute. So we're going to click on this box. We're going to release the control key. We're going to change this to say scale, or not scales, shear, sorry, shear. And we're going to move the point down to the bottom left corner. You move that registration point again. Now on the top right corner, we're going to go about 90 points over, I guess, ish. Kind of make it match the template in the background. Okay. We're going to choose the selection tool here. We're going to double click it so that this box up here pops up. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to change the horizontal field to say 1, vertical field to say 0, and of course leave the distance alone because you want it to stay what it is. And you have your preview, so if you turn it off, you can see the difference between the two. And we're going to hit the copy button. That is very important. Hit the copy button here. Now you have 2 of them. So now what we can do is we can go to Object, Transform, Transform again. You have a 3rd one. Object, Transform, Transform again. Now you have the 4th one. Basically, they're doing exactly what you've done before. We're going to save the file. So Control S. So now what we're going to do is making sure you still have your selection tool. We're going to click and drag so that all of this ends up being selected. Okay, you want everything selected here in the clapboard part. And with all 5 of that chosen, so you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then of course the big rectangle. We're going to go to Object and we're going to select Group. Now this means that all of this is together as one piece. So they're nesting together now. With the group selected, we're going to choose the Reflect tool. It's under the Rotate tool. So we're going to hit the Reflect tool right here. We're going to double click it. We're going to click the horizontal option. And we're going to click Copy. So now it looks kind of wonky. Again, we're going to press the Control key again. We're going to click on this reflected copy that we just made. We're going to drag it up to the corner right here until it kind of lines up with the shape below it. We're going to choose the Rotate tool. Once again, we're going to click on this bottom left because you want to anchor that point right there. So we're going to anchor that. We're going to grab the top right corner and we're going to move it up until it matches the board here. We're going to hit Command on Mac, or you can just hit the Control button and click off of it over here somewhere. The Command Control, I'm going to drag it up, lay it over that. As I know my rotate tool is already in place, I'm going to click the little bottom corner over here, that anchor point. Now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to drag it up to match here. I'm going to hit the control button and click off of it. So now you can see the whole thing kind of lining up like that. And then Control Save. All right, so we're going to click the selection tool again. We're going to click on one of the edges of the sheared shapes in the rotated group right here. We're going to choose the direct selection tool, which is this one here. And we're going to click on the outer shape of the rotated objects group, which is here. We're going to press the Shift key. We're going to click on this one here. And we're going to change all of this. We're going to fill it to white, just like that. We're going to click off of it. We're going to choose the lasso tool, which is here. We're going to draw a lasso inside of here that only touches the 4 blocks inside the rectangle. You don't want to touch the outside rectangle. So see how it's only selecting the 4 on the inside. I'm going to hit the Shift key, and we're going to do the same thing down here. Okay, so now you got 8 blocks that are selected. We're going to click make that black. I'm going to change this to none. So I'm actually going to go over here to make my life a little bit easier. Actually, we'll change it to white. Sorry. Change that to white. I'm sorry, none. We're going to select the selection tool. I'm going to select that rectangle on the inside and change it to white. I'm going to select this bottom rectangle. We're going to change it to black. Then we're going to deselect everything. See kind of how this is coming along. All right, so now we're going to do the direct selection tool again, because now we still got to fix these bottom pieces over here. So now we're going to go to View, Show Corner Widgets. And you'll see that these corner widgets are the 2 that actually show up. We're going to change these, double click them so you can change them. Change that radius to 0.25 and say OK. We'll do that one with this one as well. 0.25, say OK. Go back up here. We're going to hide those corner widgets again so we don't have to look at them, okay? And then we are going to use the selection tool and draw a marquee that touches every part of this board. Okay? And we're going to go to Object and Group. We're going to save. So now we're going to kind of scroll over here to this one, the little CD looking piece. I want to make sure nothing is selected, so I'm going to click off of everything, go back to my selection tool, click off of everything again. Make sure I'm still in my icons piece, so we're good there. We're going to choose the Ellipse tool. We're going to reset our default tool here for the colors and strokes. We're going to change that fill color to none. Okay, so now we're going to hit the Alt button. I'm going to go right here to the center of this little circle and click, and I'm going to draw out until I can match the outer corners. And look, it's pretty even. You can see my smart guides have kicked in, and I'm going to let go. I'm going to go to the center here, hold the Alt button, come out until it's about 0.5-ish. There we go. I'm going to let it go. Grab the selection tool. I'm going to go to Window. Make sure that the textual, there it is, taskbar is turned back on. We have one of these little fun things. Now, as long as we still have this selected, we're going to click on the duplicate button here. Okay. With the selection tool, I'm going to grab one of the corners of the shape. I'm going to hold that Alt button, and I'm going to enlarge it until it says about 1.25 for both sides, if I can get it to do it. That's close enough. I can always go right here, say 1.25, 1.25. There we go. I'm going to do another circle. I'm going to duplicate, Alt, make it go to 1.7, sorry. That's close enough. I'm actually going to group this so I can just type it in one time. Okay. Now I do see that that one's off a little bit, so I'm going to go until it's pretty even with my image. There we go. That's better. And then the last one, so we're going to duplicate it again. And then we're going to drag out. I'm going to hit the Alt button. I'm going to drag out till it says 4. Close enough. And I'm going to type in 4 over here to make my life a little bit easier for both of them. Okay. And then of course I want to make sure that it's lining up as well with the picture as it can, which looks to be about there. All right, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and save. I'm going to click on the line segment tool now because we're going to make some additional pieces in here that we're going to have to work on. I'm going to go back over here to the center point. I'm going to hit the Alt button, and I'm going to drag down to a line that says 4.25. I knew I messed that up when I let it go. So we're going to do 4.25. Okay. And it should be right at 270 degrees. So we're going to change this to be 270 if it's not, because we want a perfect line. I'm going to make sure it's recognized as a line. And here it is. So it says line here. So we know we're good. Go to our selection tool. And then of course you see that our contextual bar shows up. We're going to duplicate that line. We're going to change this one to be 290 in degrees. Make sure your center point is checked right here. That's where I messed up. So make sure your transform button's right in the center. We're going to change this to 290. There, that's perfect. Okay. I'm going to hit the shift key and select the vertical line. With both of them selected, I'm going to turn them to 25 degrees. Since we're kind of done with all of that, we're going to turn that contextual taskbar back off. So we're going to click off of that. I'm going to select this particular one, third one that we came out from the center. We're going to hit Object, Hide, Selection. Okay. We're going to hit Control S, save it, and move on. We're going to go to Window, Pathfinder. We're going to select the whole thing. We opened up the Pathfinder. We're going to click the Divide button in here. Right, there it is. So it should be the first button on yours. We're going to click the Divide button to separate. Basically, it's going to cut these pieces off. As you can see, we're going to click out of it. And what you'll see now is that you have pieces gone on the end. I'm going to hit the direct selection tool. I'm going to hit the shift button. I'm going to click on this one. Now you can see that there's two separate pieces. Making sense to everybody? I hope so. Okay. So, but what we're going to do now is we're going to hit the shift button. We're going to click this one and this one. We're going to fill that to black. Not. Let's see. Why did it not do it? There it goes. Okay, so we're going to fill those to black. It can be a little finicky sometimes, as you can tell. And then I'm going to do Object, Hide. Actually, I need to click both of those. So we're going to hit Shift to click both of those. Then we're going to do Object, Hide, Selection. So you'll see that disappear. We're going to click, we're going to Shift. We're going to click this one. We're going to change their colors to black. Now, when we do this, we're going to have to double click on that color piece, and we're going to make it's going to be the 70% black, which should be that one. So you'll see when you click on it, it'll say C0, M0, Y0, and then the K will be 70 to get to that 70% black. If they're still selected, we're going to go back to Object, Hide, Selection. You see that those pieces are like completely cut out. Okay, that's okay. We're going to shift and we're going to select this one and this one. We're going to fill them to the 30% black. This looks like that. And we're going to draw a selection that kind of accesses all this in here because we're still on the direct selection tool. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hit the delete button. And we're going to delete it one more time so that it should be completely empty on the inside. Okay. So now when we go back to Object and we say Show All, now your CD is pretty much designed. How neat is that? So now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle around, or we're going to draw a box. Let me do the selection tool instead. We're going to do drag and drop over the whole thing so that we can go to Object and Group. We're going to click off of it. We're going to Control S. We're going to scroll down, to here. We're going to start working on this one next. We're going to make a triangle. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the polygon tool right here. We're going to reset the default and stroke and all that fun part right here. We're going to click on here and you're going to see a box pop up. Now when this box pops up, we're going to change the radius to be 1.5 and we're going to have the sides to be 3. And we're going to hit OK. The selection tool. I'm going to bring it down to this little corner right there just for now. I'm going to hit Windows and Transform so we can bring that box in closer. I'm going to hit the direct selection tool and now I'm going to click on the bottom right corner polygon so that I know I'm only going to work on this little corner right here. And I'm going to drag this piece to match the template as much as I can. I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to do the same thing with it. I'm going to drag it up, try to match the top one. Now, of course, because I saw the pink line, that means that this side is definitely straight as an arrow, which is what I wanted. Okay, so we're going to hit Control S. With this still selected, we're going to change the fill none so that you can see underneath it. We're going to go to our stroke panel. So let's just go to Window Stroke. That's what it wants us to do. And we're going to change the weight of that to be 30. She's thick now. All right. So we're going to align the stroke to the inside button. So you're going to go over here to the stroke, click on it, open it, and you're going to hit Align Stroke, and you're going to click on the one that says to the inside. Notice that it fits in perfectly on the inside right there. And then we're going to go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke. We're going to click on the Default Fill Stroke button on the inside of the Tools panel. We're going to go back over here to our layers, and we're going to turn on our background layers again with a little eye. You kind of see what it's going to look like against it, okay? So that's kind of why you wanted to do that, just so you can see how each is defining the inside and the outside. So now we can go back and turn that off. And we're going to hit Control S and save. And then we're going to go over here. With the Shaper tool, hold on, click off of it. With the Shaper tool, making sure that we're still in the default colors here. We're going to change this filler color to none. I'm going to click to a point. I'm going to click up here. I'm going to drag down. If I can, I'm not really good at this part. All the way down to the leg. Just that it cleans up my line beautifully. So we're going to go back up here to this point. And we're going to draw down this line-ish to get to the bottom here. And it cleans that one up beautifully as well. I'm going to draw this line from here to here, and it's creating that straight line for us too. So you've pretty much done your compass piece here. Now we've just got to do the circle at the top of the compass. I'm going to click here. I'm going to do my best to draw a circle. As you can tell, this is not one of my favorite tools, but we're doing it, right? Okay, so we're going to use the selection tool. Grab this shape here and change the fill to none. And we're going to change the stroke up here to 5. It looks like it aligns pretty good. We're going to go to Object, Lock, Selection. I'm going to grab this horizontal line here and change it up to 5 as well. Object, Lock, Selection. Now, I do want to double check something. Where's my transform button? Where are you? Let me click on this one again. Actually, let's unlock it. The only thing I'm going to lock is the top piece. So we're going to lock selection. I just want to click on this. So if you have anything other than a 0 here or 180, you need to change it so that it's either 0 or 180. You don't want it to be something else, okay? So once you know for a fact that that is good, now we're going to lock in selection. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to choose the scissors tool, which is going to be hidden under your eraser. I'm going to click on the scissors tool, and we're going to move it over the leg here until we see something that says path at the bottom of the, where it's on the template where it's thicker looking. Go right there. We're going to click where it shows a change in the thickness. And we're going to do the same thing for the right leg up there. Control S to save it, because you always want to save. I have many files not doing that. So now where the shaper tool was here, click underneath it. Well, actually click off of everything. So make sure you don't have anything selected. The top point. All right, so here where it says the join tool, click and drag it right here. Those two pieces join together. You see, it kind of makes it a point. Go to the selection tool, click that joined path, that beautifully joined path, and change it to a stroke of 10. What we're going to do is, you see this big old point up here. We're going to bevel that point up here. Open the stroke panel. We can bevel that point. So we're going to look and see, yep, beveled. So we're going to bevel the joint at the top, and now it's flattened. Since we still have this selected, we're going to click open that stroke panel, again, and where it says the caps, we're going to put on a projecting cap on those bottom two pieces. Now you see that these two pieces have caps on them. So we're going to click off of it so we can deselect it. I'm going to click on this first one here. We're going to shift and click on the second one. That stroke up to 3. And we're going to apply the projecting caps on it as well. Go up to Object, Unlock All. In the Selection tool, make sure you're here on the Selection tool. We're going to go back and make sure that you can select everything. I know that this bottom one's not selected, so I'm going to hit Shift and select it as well. I just didn't want to get this connected into that because they're so close together. I'm going to go back to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. I'm going to go open Window, open up the Pathfinder, and what I'm going to do while everything is still selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit the Unite button. This is this first button under the shape mode. Now, since I still have all of it selected, I'm going to go and drag this over the triangle. I want just a little bit here on the bottom. I'm going to move it over something kind of like that. I think it's good. Now we're going to shift and we're going to click on the triangle because we want it all to be combined at this point. We're going to hit Object and Group. Control S. Go ahead and move on. So now we're working on the little paintbrush palette piece. I go back over here where we had the join and all that fun stuff. We're going to grab the pencil tool. Make sure that we're back to our default for colors, fill and stroke. Double click the pencil tool to open this up. We're going to go ahead and change some things. So we're going to make sure that the fidelity is set to 3/4 point, something like that, I think. And make sure that this is still selected. We're going to check the closed path switch is still selected. Then we're going to unselect the edit selected path. I'm going to say OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this. I like doing this on my iPad a little bit better. Oops, see, that's why I'm not a big fan of this. We're going to draw around the palette's outer edge the best we can. Notice that it kind of cleans it up. It gives you some points that you can work on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the circle on the inside. And we're going to repeat this for all of these on the inside. If you're unhappy with your shape, there's a couple of things you can do. You can either delete it and redo it, or you can hit the direct selection button, not the direct selection button, the pen button. That one. You can click on these and kind of move where the dots are. You can kind of click and drag them to fit closer to what you think your circle should be. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the selection tool. We're going to select each one of these on the inside, minus the one that's got the white on the center. We're going to change these to black. I don't know why it's doing that, but we changed it to black. There we go. We're going to select the outer palette, this one. We're going to change it to white. So whenever I go back over here and I add the backgrounds, now it looks great. Now here's the kicker. This should be that color as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the Shift key and click on that. We're going to go back to our Pathfinder. And we're going to click the minus front button. We're going to click on this. We're going to go to Window, Pathfinder. Click on that. Hit the minus piece. We're going to go to the icons for a minute and figure out why it's doing that. Because this should be under those. So when that happens, you just need to go over here, find this. This was actually right here. So we're in our layers menu, and you see that it kind of hides everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the compound, or the drawing that I just did. I'm going to find it. So if I can't find it, I just click right here. You'll see the little green button pop up, and voila. And I'm going to move it under all those black buttons we did. Now it looks perfect. So now you can see it. So we're going to go back, hide the icon or the background. Whoops, not unlock it. We're going to hide it. We're going to make sure that everything is selected. Go to Object, Group. Hit Control S. Now we're going to make the paintbrush. Get the rectangle tool. I'll start here at the top. Go to the bottom. Now, of course, I probably should have changed the fill to none, but now I'm going to do that because as y'all can see, I couldn't see what I was doing. So I'm going to kind of block this in properly now that I can see it. Never want to be that person. Okay, that looks pretty decent. I'm going to go to the transform panel. I'm going to turn off radius corner field, so a little link there. We're going to turn it off because we don't want it to link. I'm going to go to view, turn on corner widgets. But look what's happening. We don't necessarily want that happening. So we're going to control the window, transform panel. So we're going to curve that one in. We're going to curve that one in. So now here on the bottom, we're going to do the direct selection tool. Click on that bottom left one. So we're only working with that particular one. I'm going to drag it in. Now I'm going to click on this other side. I'm going to drag it in. Go back to selection tool. Click on that. Notice that there's no shape properties because we've made a path. We're going to go back over here to the pencil tool. We're going to draw the best we can our lovely little flame. Now with the direct selection tool, kind of like I showed you before, not the direct selection tool, sorry, with the pen is called the curvature tool. You're going to take some of these points and kind of fix how crazy you might have drawn that little shape out. Hence how I drew the shape out. Okay, then we're going to look at it. It's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. We're going to select both this one and this one. Object, compound path, make. We're going to change it to black. Control S. We're going to drag this brush over here. Then we're going to take this and we're going to rotate it. Then I'm going to grab this and kind of move it here. Shift and then click on the palette. We're going to do Object, Intertwine, Make. Hit the selection tool. So now when I select one, I'll see that all of it's selected. Select that, Object, Intertwine, Make. I'm going to select this here to make it disappear. Notice that the lasso tool appeared. So now it's going to disappear. And then we're going to say Control S, or do your selection tool, click off of it, Control S, and you saved that piece as well. All right, so Now that we make sure that nothing is selected on our artboard, we're going to go to View, the Artboard in Window so we can see everything. Close that out for a second. Going to go to our layers. We're going to open this back up. We're going to select on our templates here. Refresh it. Say yes. We're going to do Window Align. We're going to click the Film Clapboard and we're going to hit Shift and we're going to click, I might have to unlock it. We have to unlock the backgrounds. And then Shift to grab the background, the cyan rectangle, to add it to the selection. And we're going to go in here and it's going to give us the option to align to the key object. We're the one with a little key in it. Now the key object is the one that is identified with the heavy border. So we're going to hit that there and we're going to hit on the cyan border. We're going to go to the horizontal align left. Not align left, align center, sorry. And the vertical center align as well. And do you see how it aligns it with the background? And the background does not move perfectly. Okay, so we're going to repeat this with the rest of them. Once you're done, you're going to hit Control S. We're going to make sure nothing is selected on the artboard again. That looks pretty good. We're doing pretty great so far. Now, in the Layers panel, we're going to click the arrow to the left of the icon name. So we can close this out. We're going to click the little arrow here to open up all these icons. And each one of these is on an item that we call, on a layer called a sub-layer. So you can see they're kind of all grouped up into different layers. We're going to open up the clipboard one here. So we're going to close that one, but with that one and with the blue, we're going to hit Shift Select. Nope, not Shift Select. Okay, so when you go in here, you're going to see that all of these are grouped up with how we put them together. Okay, I'm not really sure where these go to, but I might just delete them because they have nothing. I don't like a dirty layer panel. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select these because I know this needs to go together. I'm going to go to Object. I'm going to go to Group. And you're going to see that they're going to actually group that together. And I'm going to repeat this step for the rest of them. So Object, Group, Object, Group, Object, Group. See how that all cleans up. Now what I can do is I can go here and I know that this one, well, let's start here. I know this one is going to be named Film Icon. And I can hit, and that's done. And we know that that one is what it is. We're going to name this one here Music Icon. Enter. This one is going to be Drafting Icon. Enter. This one's going to be Music Icon. Nope, not Music. Good grief. Painting Icon. Enter. Now what I can do is I can grab this background ones and I can drag it down to the trash can and get rid of it, and look how clean and crisp my pieces are now. We're going to hit Control S. Go to the music icon. I'm going to kind of expand this. Anything that's small, we're just going to kind of open them all up. Now you can kind of see through this, and that's not really what we want to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab these two by hitting each of them and hitting the select button. And I'm going to change their color to, nope, that didn't do it. Oh, I need to go into isolation mode. That's what it was. Okay. So we're going to click on this one, go into isolation mode, and we're going to click on this. Come on, this one. And double click on, I might have to do them separately, but we're going to change them to white. Yeah, you're going to have to double click each one of them in the isolation mode separately. It's to be a little finicky. That's okay. Come on. There we go. And then white. So up here, if you see, you're in isolation mode. That's why everything else is grayed out except for this. So now I can click off of that. I can hit the arrow mode, and it's going to bring me back out of that isolation mode. Okay, that makes it a little bit easier to work with it. Now, if I need to go back in the isolation mode, I go here, and I've got the eclipse one right here, and I need to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up until I can actually see it like that. So now what I can do is with this particular one, I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to click on it until I can get it into an isolation mode by itself. And then we're going to bump that stroke up to, and if I click this 3 times, it brings me back to the beginning. So we're going to Control S and save. Oh, this one is above that. Okay, hold on. Bring it to there. There you go. So you saw how that was kind of clipped off. I just needed to bring the eclipse one back up a little bit, and then that was fixed. We're going to do the direct selection tool. I'm going to click on this one. And if I want to make sure I have it selected, I can actually click on that, and you'll see that it is the cyan color that I selected on this one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to select, same, and we're going to do stroke weight. So now what I'm going to do is I go over here. Yeah, they're all the same. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the stroke to 1. See that they changed all of them at one time because of the way we did it. So now what I can do is I can click out of that and hit Control S, and that's going to save that file and close it. And that is everything you need to know for the first one. So what we're going to do is technically you've already saved it. Okay, so this is saved, so you're good there. So now what you're going to do is you're going to export it as well. You're going to export it as a JPEG so that we can see the artboards. I'm going to use the art, if it'll let me. Oh, it's being really finicky today. It's okay. We're going to export. Because the original one, what you need to do, see how that other one was called that as well. You're going to change the name of it. The last name underscore art dash icon or project 1 is fine. You're going to say, okay, all of this is fine. And then you're done. So now what you're going to do is when you go into your course, you're going to attach it to the assignment. Let me get to it. You're going to go in here, some assignments, Illustrator 1. You're going to attach it to this file right here. I'm going to want the AI file, and then I want the JPEG file as well. All right. And then that is it. So just make sure to do the attendance this week. I got to change that. This is old. But make sure to do the attendance this week as well. And then you will be done for this week. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.